Okay, you guys, let's do this. It's going to be so professional. Like, so professional. Here we go. Well, welcome to the Live Support Podcast with your hosts, Michele VanDusen and June Colson, a couple of clean comedians who support each other and others through comedy's wacky and winding roads. I hope you're ready. Get set. Let's go. Since podcasts have a catchy tune, we wrote this song for Michele and June. Clean comedians are best friends too. Oh, so good. And you never know what they'll say or do. Here we go, sing with me on Live Support, with Michele, who's really short. We'll have a ball, with June, who's really tall. They have fun, interviewing comedians on Live Support, with Michele, who's really short. Now it's time to start Live Support.
The Live Support Podcast is brought to you by the Hot Breath Comedy Network.
Wow, give yourself a round of applause.
Well, there it is. Welcome to the Live Support Podcast, brought to you by the Hot Breath Comedy Network. I'm your host, June Colson, here with my best friend, Michele, with one L, VanDusen.
Good morning.
We were just talking about your lighting. I am like literally you blend with your background. Your pretty porcelain skin is almost the same color as the porcelain painted wall behind you right now.
I know. See, this is why I'm going to go ahead and put that the black background back up.
Yes,
because I'm blending with everything now.
I think we should have. I was focused on just how crazy busy that like my background is today, and
Yeah,
we should have focused more on you. We should have, but that's the story of our friendship. It's like, really, June, could we stop focusing on you and maybe Michele for a moment? So
nope, that's not going to happen ever.
it's all
So
good.
what if
It's
I do
all good.
This maybe, I don't know.
It's great.
I'll
It's
try
good.
this.
You look amazing. You look amazing. It does make your crazy, beautiful eyes pop out. You have the most gorgeous eyes. I'm just saying. Okay, so
Thank you. Yeah.
here's the deal, Pickle. I'm feeling good because I had a good breakfast. Do you have a good breakfast this morning, Michele?
I haven't eaten yet, so yep.
Oh, okay. Well, I know our guest that's coming on today had a good breakfast, and I just want to show you what I'm going to say. Starting out is the guest that we have coming up.
Yeah.
He is absolutely amazing, but what's even more amazing is his wife's cooking. Okay.
Oh,
So I have been blessed for the last couple of years to be in a
Mhm.
writer's group at this gentleman's home. And, you know, I mean, the comedians, the writing, whatever, it's okay. He's okay. His wife, her baking, her cooking is
Yes.
amazing. We have these made from scratch, amazing desserts every time we're there.
Mhm.
And I can tell you that I probably appreciate that more than anyone because this morning, Michele, my breakfast this morning, I
Yeah.
made an egg. Okay. I made an egg, Michele. Okay. Here's the
Okay.
pan. Here's the pan I cooked the egg in. It's itty bitty. Like, look at it by my head. It's itty bitty. This is my favorite pan. You've seen nothing yet. Michele, the pan got too hot, Michele. The pan got too hot. Michele, look what I did, Michele. It was hot. I didn't want to set it on my counter, so I set it on my towel. Michele, this is how I cook. So, yeah. Listen. Listen to it. Listen to the towel. Listen.
Oh,
I was
June.
like, "Listen, this is my favorite pan." And he was like,
Not
"June,
anymore.
that was my favorite towel."
Oh man.
So, yeah. So that's the deal, Pickle. That's how I cook. I'm glad that he loves me for other reasons. We'll just say that.
Oh,
But
wow.
yes, okay. So
Wow.
our guest today,
Yes.
like I said, definitely has been my life support for the last probably 2.5 years, and thrilled to death that he agreed to come on and hang out with us today. So, Michele, tell us who's on the show.
Okay, so our guest's bio was like several pages long. So
Mhm.
let me just try to hit the highlights. Okay, ready? He's been on, has a special on, or has toured America's Got Talent, Netflix, Amazon, Dry Bar Comedy, Pureflix, Huckabee, Warner Brothers, Bananas, Apostles Economy, Thou Shalt Laugh, Comedy Central, Showtime, VH1, Blaze Television Network, Bill Gaither's Homecoming Tours, HBO's Comedy Art Festival, Montreal's Just for Laughs. He's even toured with his wife Tami, delivering a message of hope and inspiration in this laughter and tears on the edge of marriage. So make sure you check out some of his specials, especially like his happy wife, happy life. And of course now June, the pinnacle of his career.
I know, to top it all off. Like,
Yep.
here it is.
Let's welcome to the Laugh Support Podcast, Jeff Allen. Woo!
Hey, I gotta correct you on the one thing. I don't think Tami and I actually toured. We did one date, got in a huge argument, and that was the end of our hoping or whatever tour. So
That's
we
how
were
my
just
husband
on a
and I
marriage
toured.
cruise for family life, and day 3 we got in a huge argument, and the guy that hired me, I said, I can't believe it, but on this marriage thing, Tami and I just had a huge fight. He goes, oh, join the club. I've heard about 100 people have already come to us. So anyway.
That set a record for a marriage tour, though, because you guys at least tried. Most people are
We
like,
tried. We got out there. Tami spoke once, and it ran so long between the two of us because I can't shut up either. So it was, it was just like a 2-hour thing. And matter of fact, that pastor has never called me back. So,
And wait, so this was on a cruise, and it was
no,
like 2
this was
hours long?
this was the when we went out. We thought maybe we could speak together and as a husband and wife. And I also said to Tam, I go, I don't think I want to put my marriage up like that because they all seem to fall apart as soon as you go public with, hey, look at us. You know, it's like God says, okay. God says, okay, we'll have them look at you, but I'll show them what I see. Okay. And that's that I said, I don't need that kind of pressure. So I'd rather
we'll just fix that in post. Not
right.
that I edit anything.
The perception of what we are is much better than what we are. So I like the perception. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, listen, so our podcast is called Laugh Support, and basically we just kind of jump in. Now, I've had the joy of being in your home, and I've been able to hear some amazing stories about your journey through comedy and getting started and those kind of things. And we wanted to just kind of talk to you, pick your brain a little bit. This isn't exactly the Academy Award list of, I left somebody out. But as you got started in comedy, if you think back in the beginning, we're kind of curious about who was your laugh support, Jeff, who was there for you when you just began your journey into comedy?
Oh, it's interesting. I was just in Arizona, and I reached out to an old friend that was. I started in 1978, so a lot of guys that I started with are no longer doing comedy. Some of them have passed away. That's the joy of getting older, is that you lose friends. But this Jerry Dye was the first comic I laid eyes on that I thought, man, if I could do what he does, he was just everything. There wasn't a word out of place. Everything was just tight, succinct, to the point, and just hysterical. And he, but as far as growing up, obviously Carlin, Pryor. I used to wake up and put on George Carlin's Class Clown album in the morning, and before school to get me going. And as far as peers of mine, Kenny Rogerson, these guys were just brilliant comedians and fun to work with them. And I got lucky. I started in 78. So by 1980, the country had exploded with clubs. So there were more clubs actually than comedians. So I was able to hit the road with not much craft and make a few bucks and learn the craft of stand-up comedy. And, I had a guy come to me Sunday night. I was at Zany's, and he wants to start. And he goes, what advice? I said, I don't know. I know there's open mic nights around here, and you got to jump in and do it. It's a lot harder than it was when I started today, just to get stage time. Unfortunately, stand-up comedy is not something you can put together in a studio, like a music video. So anyway, I don't think that answered your question, but
no, it's I mean, definitely watching other people and seeing someone that you want to emulate and see how well that they do what they do. I know that you're now that person for a lot of people, that people watch
Oh,
what
wow.
you do and go, man, I want to just the conversational tone, just the ability to connect with the audience and to, to phrase your wording in a way that it paints pictures that people can just step back and relax and have a great time. It doesn't surprise me that someone came up to you at Zanies and said, hey, how do I do this? But the beauty is, I think, Jeff, what says a lot about you is that someone felt comfortable enough to be able to ask you that question.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. I've been back to work since August of 20, and I've been taking pictures. It's funny. I wrote a line the other day. I said, I wasn't worried that much about the COVID virus because I used to eat lunch with my grandchildren at the preschool. So I felt I was exposed to every virus God ever created. And Tami pointed out this COVID was created by the Chinese government. And I said, oh, well, I should be a little more frightened of this one. That's right. The God Almighty didn't create this. I forgot. It was created in a lab in Wuhan. So I got a little more afraid of it then. I go, yeah, I don't know if we're set up to fight this one off. So
right, it's got a little more kick to it than a preschooler's little booger that they've wiped on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know.
It's no coincidence. My grandsons were over last Friday, and Tammy's been sick since Sunday. So they are just little agar jars that transport germs is what they do. So
I have the visual image of Pigpen, I have
Exactly.
I have 2-year-old twin nephews, and it is just like the little Pigpen where the whirl of dirt and everything is just swirling in as they come in and going out.
You wanna shut off all the lights and run a black light over them just to see all the fungus and whatever else is clinging to them. That's what I used to say. You want to do gain of function research, just go to a preschool and start scraping cheeks. Yeah.
Michele, you didn't experience that raising, 47 boys in your house, did you? That kind of mess.
Yeah, just a little, just a little. And I'm going to be a grandparent, so I can't wait for the new era of.
Your immune system must be the Arnold Schwarzenegger of immune systems,
Actually, it has, because during COVID, I've had I became a frat house mom because my college boy brought home COVID sick kids for me to nurse back to health.
Oh.
My husband had COVID. Everyone in my house has had it. So yeah, pretty sure my immune system's ready to take on what's
Absolutely.
next.
Yeah. So Jeff, they came from college where people were taking, shots of whiskey. And Michele, what were you giving them shots of? What were you making them take shots of?
Wheatgrass juice.
Oh, you were a hit.
They can't taste, they can't smell. I was a big hit.
Yeah. She had the wheatgrass shots going on. So Jeff, you formed this group in your house. I remember it was the second year that I went to the CCA. It was the first year that I ever even attempted to step on stage before. And you came on stage, did a little bit of a set, and then mentioned, hey, I'd like to have a group at my house. Anybody who's interested in, coming in and writing together and kind of, supporting each other, that would be awesome. And I remember reaching out to you. I sent an email or a message, and I'm like, I am nobody. I've done nothing. I've literally only been on stage one time. So I may not be who you were speaking to when you said that, but if you would allow me, I would just sit in the back of the room and just listen and not disturb, the people who know what they're doing. And Michele, Jeff's response was basically like, no, you're exactly what I'm talking about.
Right.
Like, he wanted a mix of people to be in his home, to write together, which is what has basically, unfolded in the last couple of years. Was that something you had thought about beforehand, Jeff? Or would you mind telling me, what was your thought process in opening your home the way that you did?
I just, again, you know where I live. I live out in the middle of nowhere. So I finally came to the conclusion that where I live was where artists go to die. And I wanted to be surrounded by young creatives. I started acting class at 60 for no other reason than just to be around younger people who were at the beginning, because that's out, you do your thing, you come home, you sit around and do, mow the lawn and whatever, and you go out, you do your thing, you come back. And I wasn't creating anything. So I probably used you guys more than you used me, but it was just enough to get me jump started. And again, the enthusiasm out and are pushing to get to the next level. That's, and it helped me to want to get to the next level of where, you're never there. I mean, whatever, I don't know, I guess if you're packing arenas like Kevin Hart, maybe you don't have to go any farther, but, so I just thought that I had something to offer, certainly people starting out, and you guys offered me that enthusiasm. So we kind of fed off each other, but, and Tami had all these great baked goods, and she didn't know what to do with them. So
Listen,
I went one time all the way from Oklahoma to go have some of this amazing pie that I heard about. Yeah, it was nice that there was a writers group, but I heard about the pie, so I showed up.
Right, exactly. Well, that was our good friend Jason, who's no longer with us. But anyway, he used to say he came for the desserts. So
yes, and he drove
from Cincinnati.
Yeah,
round trip. Yeah, that's 5 hours each way. That's impressive.
Yeah. So we're referring to Jason Goodall, that passed away last year, and just an amazing, sweet heart of a person. But he always showed me up, because people would be like, June, gosh, you drive, because I'm an hour and a half from there. But people would say, you drive an hour and a half. And I was like, Jeff Allen ain't driving to Bowling Green. So I'm going to go where the people
I'm working Bowling Green coming up. So you're going to be there with me, right?
This is true. Yeah. And this will actually air within like the Thursday before our show, it looks like. And so, people, if you haven't got a ticket yet, it's going to be at the Capitol Theater here in Bowling Green. And you can go to Jeff's website, and we'll give that at the end, but you can go to Jeff's website, his Jeff Allen Comedy website, and you can actually look at his tour dates, and you can click on there. Yeah. JeffAllenComedy.com, and you can get a ticket to the show if they're still available.
Or 2 or 3
I'm
or 4.
I'm super hype about this show, Jeff, because the theater that we're going to be in, I moved here from Indiana, and I lived in a town of like 700 people. My family was very poor. I had never seen a theater before in my life. Right. And one of our first field trips in my elementary school in 5th grade was to go see a production at the theater that we're going that
oh wow, how cool is that?
And I remember as a little girl thinking like how amazing it would be to be on that stage. And so my senior year in high school, I played a part in Bye Bye Birdie. I can't remember the character's name, but anyway, she was the floozy on the train who was trying to get Conrad Birdie's attention, to which my mother, when people would ask her at the play, oh, your daughter's in the play. And my mom's like, yeah. And they would say, well, who is she? And mom's like, oh, she's the floozy. My daughter's a floozy.
Right.
Yes, that's what my mom would say. So when I finally got on that stage, I was a floozy. So I promise you, when we do our show, I will be a non-floozy when I because clean comedy is floozy. Clean comedy is what Jeff Allen does. It's what I do too, and what an honor to be invited to be, a part of that. But I will tell you, Tami at the writers group, she sits at the bar, and she's usually on her laptop, and she's working on stuff. And the first few times I came to Jeff's house, we kind of had an exchange, how you doing, whatever. And I remember the first time I got enough guts up to kind of read something that I had written. And she was typing, and she leaned up and she went, and she looked back down, and I was like, I got it. I've got something here. Tami laughed. Like, so now she's a star. If she laughs.
Yeah, she is not an easy audience. That's for sure.
No, but she's been there through it all with you. She's, she's heard the best of the best. She's married to one of the best of the best. So no, it's hard to, you don't get a pity laugh from Tami.
Not at all. I don't. That's for sure. I get nothing. I'd say I told her a new line I wrote, and she just looked at me and went, oh yeah, that's funny. And then she walked out of the room. So, when we were dating, she used to laugh when I was bombing hard because I'd mumble things under my breath as I turn around and go get my drink. I would just, here's another one you'll love, and well, I'm sure glad I got out of bed for this. I mean, that's the kind of stuff I would mumble into the mic, and turn around and go, here's another one, and then they would just kind of, and yeah, I think she enjoyed it more when I was bombing. And it was funny. I just worked that cruise for Family Life, and the guy, Michael Godwin.
Yeah.
Godwin. Yeah. Anyway, he was also on the ship, and his wife laughed at everything he did. She sat in front of me and Tami, and I kept elbowing Tami. See, she laughs at everything.
Nice.
Just saying.
Rosalind's very supportive. So yeah.
Just saying. Yes. Yes, she is very supportive, and not mine. She walks out of the room, and we get into an argument when I get back to my cabin. So.
Yeah, but only on the marriage retreats. Only on the marriage.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because we just want to be real, keeping it real with people.
Right. I think that's God's way of telling me I just should stick doing what I'm doing and not venture into areas that I'm not qualified to venture into.
There it is. Well, I tell you, definitely comedy. Michele and I have talked a little bit, and we'll have a future episode on this, but we talk about just how lonely it can be when you're on the road, and then how difficult it can be for the spouse that's, left behind. Now, most of the time, Michele and I are hearing from, male comedians talking about their wives and their struggles, but, we obviously are married to dudes, and the struggle is real for them too. So I wondered, as far as laugh support, looking back in the journey, because you've been very transparent about the journey that Tami and you have been on, is there something that you would tell a comedian starting out before they hit the road, just a piece of advice that might save them a little bit of the heartache that maybe you and Tami had faced, as far as how to be supportive to one another in this type of industry?
Well, it's interesting. The guy that came over to me at Zany's the other night, when I married Tami, I was a comedian. Mm-hmm. And when we had our marital problems, she had come to me and said, I kind of sort of thought I knew what I was in for. Mm-hmm. And we're also the kind of people that need our time alone, and that's where the balancing act comes in, is just trying to figure out, you're entitled to a life as a husband, and she's entitled to a life as a wife, and then you share a life together, and balancing those things are the hard part. But I looked at the guy's wife and I said, are you supporting him on this? And she said, absolutely. I said, that's everything. Mm-hmm. Because I've seen more marriages break up because the woman married a plumber, and now he's out on the road for three weeks out of the month doing comedy. And he's going, I can't believe she's leaving me. And I go, well, she married a plumber.
Right.
And if you didn't can sit down with her and tell her this is a dream of mine and get her on board, then what do you expect? I mean, it's a hard thing to be alone, especially if you're raising kids. My gosh. I remember getting audited. I got, they said, how many days a year are you on the road? And I looked down on my sheet and it said 228 days, and it hit me. No wonder she's leaving me. She's right. She didn't sign on for 200 and plus days not being married and not having a husband at home. So anyway, I went home and we readjusted, our lifestyle. I said, if we can cut it in half, I don't have to be on the road as much. We were barely making it anyway. But I think that's the advice for, certainly if you're starting out, understand that both parties need to be on board. I remember I was going to support a golfer friend of mine, and financially, just with a little bit of money. And I went and sat with his wife. I said, what he's about to embark on is hard, and it's a lot of travel. Are you supporting him? And she said, absolutely. And I said, okay, then I'll help you out. Wow. But that's the important thing, is that whoever it is, man or woman, they know what is entailed. And that's the thing I told the guy. You're going to have to get in a car, drive to Huntsville to do an open mic. You're going to have to get in a car to drive to Birmingham to do an open mic. You're going to have to get I remember when Dusty Slay was coming over to the house. Dusty would drive to Michigan for a one-nighter from Nashville, turn around and come home. And I remember telling Tami when he left, I said, he's going to make it because that's what it takes, and I couldn't do it. Well, at my age, I couldn't do it now. But I mean, that's what I was willing to do, just get in the car and drive 7 hours or whatever for 20 minutes or 30 minutes of stage time. And it was never about the money. It was about just getting some craft built up, because when you get your craft built up, people talk about you and the work will come, but the important thing, especially if you're married, if you don't have spousal support, the stress is just it'll just kill you. It'll rip you apart.
Yeah, and it seems like when things do go wrong, especially like, if I'm gone and the toilet breaks or, whatever happens, it's all good. My husband is the person who handles those things. But I can imagine, as the wife of a comedian, I was the wife of a firefighter and a fire chief, and he was on 24 at the fire department. When we first married, he was on 24 at the fire department, then 24 at EMS. So he was only home every third day. So I constantly, and I was raising two boys, felt like that single mom, but it was like every time, if something went wrong around the house or the boys got an injury or something like that, he was always on shift. And I could talk to other firefighter wives who got that, who were like, oh my gosh, and we would try to support each other. But as far as comedy goes, I don't know of a comedian spouse support group that's out there. And sometimes it's great. That's why at your house, it's great to be around people who you don't have to explain really deep. You can say a couple of words and people are like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, but they don't necessarily have, right?
No.
What we have.
Well, the best thing that when it was funny, we were going to a church. We're not social animals, so we were going to a church when we first moved to Nashville for over a year, and there was a point where 1,000 people were leaving on Sunday after a year being there. I said to Tami, "Point out somebody we know here," and we didn't know anybody out of all these people.
Wow.
So anyway, I was out on the road with the Gaithers at that point. I went to Buddy Green and I said, man, I got to get connected at our church. There's just, he goes, where do you go? And I go, Christ Community. He goes, oh, we go there. you go to Christ Community? He goes, yeah. He goes, what service do you go to? And I said, the 9 o'clock. He goes, oh, we go to small group in there. And I said, really? What kind of small group? He goes, well, it's not listed. It's for artists and their wives. So anyway, we started going, and that's when really church began for us, was to connect with 6 or 7 couples that were in the same line of work we were in. So Tami was able to, like you said, when you talk to firefighter wife, you talk to a musician's wife who's home for 2 weeks at a time or whatever. And it's just, you realize your feelings, you're not crazy.
Yeah.
Because you want to put up a strong front, but you're lonely, and Tami and I are finally at a point in our marriage where she can at least be honest with me about all that stuff. She said to me a few weeks ago, she goes, since Aaron moved away, our grandchildren used to be a quarter mile from our house. So she said, I'm just really lonely, that used to fill the void, being able to get the kids over and my son over and stuff. And so I told her, I can cut back. Just, but you got to tell me, I'm going to put my head down and just do what's in front of me. So, but it's important to have some kind of support from people who understand because when you complain, I remember complaining to friends of mine who were steel workers years ago, and he goes, Jeff, you might want to call one of your comedian friends. The fact that, yeah, your complaints, at least you're working and you're not unemployed, and, working an hour a night really isn't, you're breaking my heart is what they were telling me. So it helps to have people in the same line of work that you're, if you're going to complain about, stuff. So.
Right. The people that just get that. Now, if you guys decide that you're packing up and you're moving somewhere close to the grandkids, I'm just
No.
saying, find a subdivision where there's an extra house for Junebug and her family, because wherever you guys go, I'm
No,
following.
we're staying put here. I'm going to be buried in the backyard like Elvis, man. That's
There it
where.
is.
Yeah. We just did a rooster cleanse. So we went CIA on our roosters. We had 7 roosters, and I assassinated 2. Tami says you can't be shooting a 12 gauge off in the neighborhood. So and don't email me about you weren't living with 7 crowing roosters 24/7. So anyway, we started sneaking them off in the middle of the night, like we were doing a coup, like the CIA does. We'd wait for them to go to sleep. She'd wrap a towel around one. We'd take them off into the woods, and we convinced ourselves they have a good life now. They're free,
Yes. Are they like dogs, though? Will they find their way home? Will they just?
I don't know. I told her one day. I said, "Watch, we'll find these 2 ratty old roosters crowing at our fence one morning." We apparently you forgot about us. So.
Oh, look.
So you can't eat rooster? Like
you can. I don't. We don't do that. They're matter of fact, one of the Hispanic landscape guys took one. Took him 10 seconds to catch him, and they tied him to a tree like a dog. They just wrapped something around his little leg, and they put him on a tree. They finished my yard, and then they took him home. And Tami says, "You think they're going to eat him?" And I said, "Either that or fight them. I don't know."
Yeah.
They caught a couple of those rings in some area around Dixon, Tennessee, where I live. I guess it's illegal. I don't know, but I didn't care.
I think it's absolutely illegal, maybe in the United States, but no lie, not long ago, I was at a restaurant here in Bowling Green, and I think it was my oldest son was like, "Do you know who that is? Do you know who that is?" And he's pointing out some guy, and I was like, "I have no idea who that is." He goes, "He's famous. He's famous. He's like a world champion cockfighter," and like that's insane. And I go, "What? How do you know who this guy is?"
How do you know this, right?
He's all over Instagram. No, he goes places where it's legal, and he's like a millionaire from these rooster fights and stuff. But his first question, Jeff, was, "Mom, do you know who that is?"
Right.
No, I don't know who that is.
Right. Yeah.
Like, why would I know who that
You're not
guy
on the email list, June. You're not on the notification list from Instagram when he posts a video.
I missed it. I wasn't scrolling through and checking out who the latest world champion of cockfighters are. Like, what in the world? But anyway, well, I'll tell you where you need to scroll, people. You need to be scrolling through Instagram. You need to be checking out Jeff Allen's comedy. You can find him a little bit of anywhere. Jeff Allen Comedy on Facebook, YouTube, Jeff Allen Comedy on Instagram, Jeff Allen Comedian on Pandora, Jeff Allen on iHeartRadio. For sure, check out his dry bar specials and anything. And
on Amazon Prime now.
Oh, okay.
I got an email from a friend of mine that said him and his wife watched the one of the dry bars on Prime, Amazon Prime, and yeah, he was. He said, "My gosh, you're actually witty." So.
Yeah, isn't that great?
How many? I was gonna say, how many dry bar specials do you have?
I have a couple, and I'm contemplating whether or not I want to work on a third. I got some stuff that's a little different, but I don't know. I'm working on. June was there with the Robert G. Lee the reading, and we've made some changes. I'm working on a book. I figured the book will be first, and then if we build a show around that. But we when we read that script, it was it was a little. Tami sat in the corner and cried the whole time. She goes, "We were such horrible people." It's back and from my 30s, that decade where I went from atheism to agnosticism to belief. In that 7 or 8 years in that period, and what we went through as a couple, and I'm trying to find a humor in it. I just wrote a bunch of stuff on adulting because I started adulting at 31, so I feel I have a lot in common with today's millennial, and I'm trying to find a kindred spirits out there, people in their 30s. I know what you're going through. I really do. Yeah. One of the things I was laughing about was when I met Tami, I brought her into LA into my apartment, and I had a mattress on the floor and a 13-inch black and white TV with no cable. And I'm not talking HBO. There was no cable. There was a battery operated television, 4D batteries. So
Oh wow.
I said, I think we got enough to watch this movie, you know. You know? And then you look for mood lighting, you know. I go, well, I need a flashlight, so I had to take some of the batteries out of the TV. You know, you know, so I wasn't the catch that I thought I was. But
yeah.
hopefully I can find the humor in it, and then we'll soften out some of the harder edges of what our life was like 30 years ago. But we made it so far, and and I told her the other day, and I mean this with all my heart. I said I'm falling deeper in love with her as the time goes on, and I think this is the way it's supposed to be. Because our bodies are falling apart. You need a deeper love to put up with some guy who can't get out of the chair without grunting, groaning, moaning, and bitching about all the aches and the pains and the whatevers, you know. So
Yeah,
God bless her.
ain't that the truth? I think it's I think that's why Jason now he's had perfect vision and now all of a sudden he has to have readers, you know? And I believe that
Right.
that's like just the softness, that's just God softening anything that's happening in my face just as
There you
soft
go.
and blurry to
There you
him.
It's a
go.
natural
I'll be like,
filter.
no, but yeah, baby, don't put the glasses on. Take the glasses
Yeah,
off.
you know what?
Like that's sexy. I like it when you do.
Yeah, my mother got LASIK, and she said I didn't realize how old and wrinkled I was. She goes, I don't know if this was a good. And my house is filthy. She said, oh my gosh, she goes, I was a lot better not knowing this stuff. So
Yeah. Sometimes that clear vision is it's a little more frightening. Just go back and make it fuzzy again. That's
right.
how I feel about
You know what we're doing now? It's so funny. I'm doing this thing on. I went to a hormone doctor at her request, and it turned out I have low testosterone and high estrogen. And I said, you know, that explains all the HGTV I'd been watching. But and I'm not making this up. The other night, I'm standing there, and Tammy's got some kind of vibrating exfoliator thing she's doing on her face that she does every night. She goes, you know, you need to do this, and here's how you do it. So I ended up putting all this stuff on with cotton pads and then moisturizer, and she goes, you know, we should have spa night. And I started to think about it as I was walking to my bed, and I go, you know, that might actually be fun. So maybe there is something to this high estrogen thing. I'm not sure, you know, I don't know. But we'll probably, I'll put a picture out if we do the mask. She says, I'll get you a mask. And she does my toenails and fingernails all the time. She goes, you just need to let people know that you have someone in your life that cares for you. You know,
Nice.
That was the nose and ear hair trimmer gift she gave me. She wanted me to keep my grooming up because women will look at me and think I don't have a woman in my life if I'm all ungroomed, you know. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, like anybody thinks this way but her. So
Yeah.
See, my
No, I think-
daddy hot dog had me where I didn't trust any man with clean fingernails and a clean garage. Dad's like, I mean, you don't know how to work, Junebug. He can't fix your car. And I'm like, how about I just marry a man who buys me a car that works, Dad?
right, exactly. That would be nice. You know, believe it or
That
not,
washes
some of
their
those guys
hands.
actually could afford a car that runs. You know. Yeah, I remember shaking my father-in-law's hand. He was a pipe fitter and blue collar, calluses on calluses. And the first time I shook his hand, he looks at his hand like it was a snot rag. He goes, what do you do? Yeah, I hit golf balls and tell jokes, you know. So, yeah, not a hard-working guy.
Michele, what were you thinking? I saw the little wheels turning in your brain.
I was thinking, you know, if Tammy's suggesting a spa night, that's really, because I've suggested that before. I just wanted to have like some massages, you know, or someone to rub my feet.
Right.
So I think the fact that you're like, yeah, I'll do it. I have to figure out now how to get Ross with lower or higher estrogen.
Lower estrogen, higher estrogen, lower testosterone. Apparently, that's the trick, because I can't think of a period outside of now where I would have went, oh sure, you know. But now it's like, you know, I don't care.
I just
You know,
don't
I
care.
used to see
How can we do that?
pictures of my sons getting their toenails painted by their daughters. You know, my granddaughters would be painting my son, and I go, you know, there was a time I would think that was weird, but I don't know. You know, everybody
Mhm.
seemed to be happy in the video. Nobody seemed to be being tortured. So anyway, I'll
Oh,
honor her wishes.
yeah,
That's
little ones will
fantastic.
do that to you. They'll take you out of your comfort zone and you'll find yourself especially I think it's the kids one thing, but the grandkids, because
Oh,
you do have that softer heart by then, and then the patience, the level of
yeah.
patience, like grandparents are emotionally more prepared and more stable parents than the parents. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm not
Tammy
sure
always
how that
says
it goes.
we'd be better at it now. And I go, of course we would be. We're, older and more patient. And, I'm not running from to and fro trying to keep the roof over their heads, you know.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, you live, you learn. Well, Michelle, this has been an amazing interview, don't you think?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Jeff. I appreciate everything that you shared
Oh
with
my
us.
gosh. I
You
enjoyed it.
know, one of the things that you said at the very beginning, though, and I'm kind of curious about. You said to a young comic that it's actually harder now than it was then. Was it
Mm,
because there's not as many clubs out there, or
Well,
because
there's not as
of
many
places to
opportunities,
practice?
and a lot of the clubs, every city you went into, they were grooming their own stable of open micers
Hmm.
to MC and do middle spots because it saved them money on housing and hotels. They would pay, when I started as a middle, they paid my hotel or they put me up in the apartment. So
Hmm.
when like Zany's here in Nashville, Lenny, who ran the club, always was working open mics 2 nights a week to try to find local comics that he
mm,
could use during the week. But that's not there anymore. I mean, I do clubs now for a night. I go in on a whatever night, Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday, Saturday. And I've been finding a lot of success with the Saturday and Sunday 4 and 5 o'clock shows, which allows the club to
mhm.
keep their regular lineup and do their 7:30 shows. And
Mm.
so that works out for everybody. It's like an extra show for the club. But again, I reach out and tell them I need a clean opener. And I'm finding that that's harder and harder to get for 15 minutes. I just, 15 minutes. And again, I can do an hour and a half, but if I'm working 5 days a week, by the fifth day, my throat's dried out, and I'd rather
Mm-hmm.
not push it like that. But it is harder just because they're not using um, low MCs and middles.
Yeah.
I get a guy that goes up and does it 15 minutes. This last week, I was in St. Louis. The guy that opened for me was actually headlining. They had a smaller room next door, a 60-seat or 70-seat room called the Garage. It was at the Helium, and he was actually headlining that room. They just said, "Hey, you want to go up and open for Jeff?" And he said, "Sure." So he did 15
Mm.
minutes in front of it. So it was great. I mean, but I don't. Again, I don't think I could. I don't know if I'd have the ambition. But I tell
Mhm.
everybody, you got to be willing to get up and move because you got to go where the work is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And find the open mics and it bothers me. June knows this. We tried to start one up here where we were giving the open
Mhm.
micers 15 minutes and everybody, because 15 you get a chance to develop some
Yeah.
craft. When you're doing
Mm-hmm.
3, my gosh, how many shows you got to do to put together 15 or 20 so that you could put
Yeah.
your video together and go out and seek opening act work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah. It was that was just huge to be able to go and perform with yeah, I mean, just amazing, talented people. Most of the rooms that I go into, I'm like the least experienced comedian in the room because I've been doing it such a short amount of time. But you're right, Jeff. Just recently, I was at Zany's and I was talking to some comedians who do quite a bit of time that are friends of mine. And, I was talking about how my son is about to graduate high school. And, I've tried to honor my family because I know I only have so much time with
Right.
my kiddos at home, right? But I also know that God's been like, okay, now now is going to be the time you can move a little faster and go a little farther, right? And so I went and I spoke to, a couple of the guys there, and I was like, I don't want to spin my wheels in random places and open mics that I'm not going to develop, be seen, or see people. And really it was just kind of this, like, I mean, they were kind of like, yeah, there's not a lot, it was like you said, it's just more difficult. But then I always hear, whether they have a hard time finding a clean female, opener and that kind of stuff. But it's hard to be seen for people to even know I can do that. Like, I'm here, I'm right down the road. I can do that, And so it's going to be an interesting next phase of the journey. But even like as a female in clean comedy, when I do see people on stage, they usually are not reflective of what I do and how I do it. It's very rare to see a woman on stage at a club at the level of Zanies that is clean. Most of the time it's completely the opposite of what I do. So
TMI is what I've always said. It's a little too much information for me, but
yeah. And it does make you think, well, okay, so they're not looking for anybody like me, if this is, you know what I'm saying? And so you're right that what we did have there and but that kind of, I remember the last time that we did that open mic, you couldn't be there. Ken Davis came and hung out with us and, ran the show that night or whatever. And we were all kind of joking about the COVID thing. Like he wouldn't shake anybody's hands. And we were kind of joking and people were kicking feet, that kind of deal. That next weekend I had a show in Memphis. And by that Wednesday, it was done. Everything was. But one of my last memories of comedy before COVID was that open mic, was being there and doing that.
Yeah,
that
we miss
really
it.
cool.
We went over. They have a new owners of the restaurant there, and I went over there, and I didn't get the vibe that was anything they were interested in.
Yeah,
they gave me the classic, "Oh yeah, please reach out and we'll." But they're slammed, unlike the other people that owned it.
Oh yeah.
They don't need customers. They have plenty of customers. So
yeah. Gotta find
but
the place.
Tammy's talked to me about it, where we should look around and see if we can find something else, because it was fun to do. I mean, I enjoyed it, just because it was close to home, and to be able to just, they're doing the new material Mondays at Zanies, but those are established headliners.
Yeah,
I mean, really established people like Nate Bargatze, Theo Von, those people, John Christ.
Yeah.
So it's not even an open mic for open micers. It's like,
it is a cool vibe though. Like if you see the open mic, the new material Mondays at Zanies, if you're anywhere near Nashville, I've been able to go and watch Jeff Allen, Jeff Jenna. I've seen Theo Von. I've seen John Chris. I've seen Dusty Slay. I mean, it's really good stuff, but you're right. It's not a random open mic. This is
no, not at all. And I finally have stuff now where I was working the AGT, America's Got Talent set when I was there, which wasn't really new material. I was just trying to work that out. So it was, now I would have a blast. I got a sheet of stuff that I'd love to read off of and get the vibe of the audience on what is and isn't connecting, But it was interesting. So I bombed the one night I went in there. I told Tam, I came home and I said, you know how long it's been since I felt dry mouth and sweaty pits? And she goes, I thought you didn't care. I go, I care. Everybody cares. Nobody wants to stand in front of a room full. And I realized what happened was I was hitting the stage the way I hit it with people who know me. Hey, everybody, and they're looking, who's this old big mouth, So the next week I went in, I sat on a stool and I said, hi, I'm Jeff, and we kind of warmed to each other, and then it was fun. I had a good time, but, it'd been a while since I got, they got that feeling of, just, this isn't, and I wanted to leave. I did. I just wanted to go, you know what, this isn't connecting and I don't need to work. I'm leaving, but I'm proud of myself. I stuck it out, to the chuckle or two that I got for 5 minutes and walked off. So
Okay, so you just said something about you'd like to read off a sheet. So on like new material Mondays or when you do work new stuff, do you bring notes with you? How's that work, or is it all still just off of rote?
Well,
off your
it's
head?
interesting. I'm working stuff in my show now, and I try to memorize one or two lines. I'll give you an example. A story about my memory's not going. My memory's not that good. So I saw this ad for Prevagen, that the memory pill. I'm sure you've seen it. It's all, and all these old people going, I remember my grocery list now. I don't need anything else. So I was ready to pull the trigger, and then I saw that the key ingredient came from a jellyfish. So then I thought, well, do jellyfish have good memories? How do they know that? The only time I've ever seen them was on the shore, gasping for life because they forgot to go back out with the tide. You'd think there'd be one thing. So that whole thing started with just the concept of, do jellyfish have good memories? And now I've written, it's funny, I'm trying to write more and more because it's getting absurd. I'm at a point now where it's trivia night at the bar. Oh, no way. We just saw 6 jellyfish go in. We'll never beat them. And the final Jeopardy answer is Mr. Jellyfish. I want to, because I look at the audience and I go, all right, I got one more, and then we'll get off the jellyfish.
Yes.
And so anyway, I'm trying to write 3 or 4 more. And again, I remember when I'm putting stuff together, I'll remember the first line, the 4th line, the 8th line. And then the next night, I'll remember the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 7th, whatever. And eventually it all comes together. And I just initially listen for if there's a connection with the audience. They get the absurdity of it, or the belief. Because I believe that if you start with a truth, there is a pill called Prevagen. And then you look at what makes it. And then, I was writing stuff about, I really believe the pharmaceutical companies just make things up to sell things, And the daytime TV, I was talking to Tami yesterday. I go, do you watch because if I'm in a room in a hotel, I got it on. I don't really watch it. But every ad, it's like QVC for the pharmaceuticals. It's like every ad is, they're selling some disorder, some, and I got them all, every one of them. I mean, I could buy them all. I should be, stuck with an IV in my neck 24/7. I should have a bag full of pills I'm taking constantly based on just the commercials. But I with new material Monday, because the time is 5 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever. I don't want to waste it fishing around. So I would just bring up notes and go sit on the stool and go, here, I'm going to read some stuff to you. And just give me a yay or nay. And then the more comfortable I get with it, I can kind of get a feel for what will work for me.
Yeah. And you'll see people at that with notes, with their cell phones. They're pulling their cell phones out. They're scrolling through, looking at, So I think that's the difference. It is headliners. It's not your general, open mic situation. But it is a safe place pretty much for the headliners to be able to do like what Jeff said, just sit on the stool, have your notes, read the thing, pick up your phone, which is not something that you would see them do on a stage in front of 5,000 people. They're not going to walk over and scroll through their cell phone.
No, when they're paying you that kind of money, they don't want to see you working new stuff. I just told Tam, I said, I remembered Carlin saying that George Carlin's tried to do a minute a week. Doesn't sound like a lot of comedy. If I can do 1 minute a week, but at the end of 52 weeks, he had a new HBO special.
Yeah.
Wow.
It adds up,
That's
and
brilliant.
I'm going to try. I've never looked at it that way. And I'm trying to do the Seinfeld Red X thing, where every day I write and I put an X on the calendar.
Oh, yeah.
And try not to break the chain. I broke the chain about 2 days ago. I just didn't sit down and do anything. So I'm starting back up again. I had about 20-some consecutive days where I sat down and thought about what I do,
Yeah.
And
so would you try to write like a one-liner, or were you, trying to write?
It's interesting. He said that it wasn't about producing. It was about the discipline of being there. So that way it took the pressure off of, I'm not, because that's where I always got up and left, because I'd get frustrated after 3 or 4 minutes. I'm going, I can't think of anything. This is nonsense. So then I started journaling and scribbling drivel on a piece of paper. So I'm trying to write premises. Again, my memory's going, and that started really with the neighbor lady who said she had to take a cognitive test to get her license renewed. And that story came where I said, because she's sharp. She's not, for 78, she's sharp. She really is. And she said the memory thing threw her. And apparently they give you 5 things, and 20 minutes later, you got to recall the 5 things. And that's when I thought about it and going, I'm never hanging on to my license, because, the grocery store is 8 minutes away, and 9 minutes later, I'm calling Tami about the 3 things she gave me to remember about.
Yes. Yes.
So,
maybe you need a jellyfish pill.
well, that's it. That's what kind of where it all started with, and then I've been recalling Prevagen throughout my show. I didn't realize how many times I talk about how bad my memory is, And the last line I did the other night, this will probably get you some emails, but I said,
We'll take
I
'em.
said, well,
We'll
the good
take 'em.
news is if my mind completely goes by the time I'm 73 or 4, I could always run for president. So it's a joke. Don't
I would
email
vote for
anybody.
you.
Just
I
shut
would
up,
vote
get
for
over
you.
it.
Yeah.
Get over it.
There's a lot of people would vote for him, obviously.
Right.
So there's that. Or did they? Who knows?
Yeah.
Okay, now we're going there. Now we're going there.
Yeah.
Look what
I
you
don't know.
started, Jeff Allen. Look what you started. Well, Jeff, we want to thank you so much for being here with us today. Again,
Well, thank you guys.
check Jeff out on jeffallencomedy.com and all of his social media. You can find him on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram.
And I am out and about all over the country. So please
This is true,
come on
yeah.
out. It's much better live.
It is. Isn't
Yes.
it though?
Oh, it's so
It
good.
is.
Praise God for the live stage opening back up and all these Zoom, whatever, people are still doing it. Now people are still doing Zoom shows for whatever, whatever I know why they're doing it, because people are still paying you to do it. So that's why they're doing it.
Well, I just had a show in Maryland that all they wanted was an audio intro to a video of mine they're going to play. They didn't want me there live, and they were shocked to find out I was actually doing live shows.
Wow.
So there are people that still haven't kind of gotten over,
Yeah, the New
and moved
England
on,
states.
and that's fine. Again, I don't, whatever your choices are, just don't put your boot on my neck and keep me down,
Yeah.
I only got so many more years left, man. I can't be sitting in my basement.
No. And of course, Jeff is in Tennessee. I'm in Kentucky. Kentucky was kind of weird about it, but I'm right in between Indiana and Tennessee. And both areas during 2020, 2021, there were plenty of places out there that people are like, COVID, what? What are they talking about? Y'all, come on now. We got the barn open.
Wait, there was a shutdown? When?
Yes, exactly.
I'm curious.
Exactly.
I'm in Oklahoma. When did we shut down? I don't know anything about this.
Yeah.
I remember some masks and quarantine for 14 days at a time. But other than that, what are you talking about?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you're back out there. Definitely, guys, all of his show dates are on jeffallencomedy.com. I know, because I was looking a little bit ago. And again, reminder that I will get to be opening for the amazing Jeff Allen. I tell
looking
people
forward to it.
like, you don't have to come for me. I've been telling all my friends in the area, you don't have to buy a ticket for me. But I'm telling you, if you want to come see me, you're guaranteed a good show because of who's the actual headliner.
Well, Michele,
of the show.
and Michele, the next time I'm in Oklahoma, you reach out ahead of time so that we can work it out where you open.
Okay. All right. Everybody hear that? Did all our listeners just hear that? Everybody knows.
But you got to do it. I'm not going to remember. So,
yes, sir.
Unless I'm on Prevagen, I'm on the Prevagen, maybe I'll be sharp. I was never sharp. So this could be a whole new world for me.
Awesome. Well, Jeff, we're going to scoot you back to stage. If you got just a second to stick around, we'd love to talk to you for a moment after the show and tell you thank you. And but that's going to be it for this episode of the Laugh Support Podcast. It's been awesome. Jellyfish is going to be stuck in my brain. We used to have a pastor that my son could not, Michele, my son couldn't deal with him because he bought his own brand new white tennis shoes, and this pastor walked up and goes, "Oh, new shoes," and he stepped on the toe of his shoe and scuffed it.
Oh.
And that was it. That was it. And so my son would just be
Oh.
like, he drives me insane. Well, then one day I was like, come on, man. He's trying to be cool. And he walks up to Trey and he goes, "Trey, what's up, buddy?" And he puts his fist like to do the fist bump. And when
Yeah.
Trey leaned towards him, he goes, "Oh, jellyfish, jellyfish, jellyfish."
No,
And
no,
I'm
no.
like, okay, Trey, you win. You win. He's not cool. I was trying to, I mean, he's doing the Lord's work. I was trying to help the guy out. So, Michele,
Is he,
every
though?
time we close, I
Yeah.
think we're still trying to find the closer for you.
Oh, I got it. I got a closer now. I got it.
Do you? Okay, because I was going to
I
tell
do.
you today could just be jellyfish if you can remember.
Jellyfish.
Jellyfish.
No.
But you got it? Okay.
I got it.
Oh, and she has it on paper, y'all. Okay, so that's it for this episode of the Laugh Support Podcast. Don't forget that you can check us out. If you want to see our faces, you can find us on YouTube and Vimeo. Yes, and on the Creative Motion Network on Roku TV. And you can also listen to us anywhere that you get your podcast: Amazon, Apple Podcast, Audible, Spotify, Player FM, and others. It
And
has
all
been
of
an
them. So many.
absolutely wonderful day. We were just blessed. Thank goodness Jeff Allen joined us today. It's been great. You guys, as always, remember that Jesus and Junebug loves you. And Michele, what is this epic closer today?
A smile is a seed and a frown is a weed. So go plant some seeds today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening.
That's perfect.